Everybody, welcome back to Brandi's Corner. We've had a bit of a summer break and we hope you all had a wonderful, safe, and enjoyable summer. We have an incredible group joining us. I do have some news with a little bit of a lineup change. There is a little bit of a conflict that Brandi was running into this evening, and she is really excited and about this conversation, and quite sad that there has been this switch. So she might not join. She might be able to join us in a few moments, a little bit further through the programming, but in her place, we are going to have the incredible Courtney Carroll Levinsohn, the Women in Soccer founder. She's going to kick us off and introduce and bring up on stage the four amazing coaches we will be chatting with today and this evening. And Courtney, I will hand it over to you. Courtney, what a night. Welcome. Thank you for jumping in last minute here, but we know you're going to push it. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you, Rachel. I think the most important thing about this community is that if somebody needs something, or if you need somebody to step up, you have people in your corner to roll through this and model how we handle things when things come up. Performance under pressure. As Tracy Ham would say, get comfortable being uncomfortable. And I'm super sweaty under my Goal 5 hoodie, so I'll just kind of like take a deep breath and remind myself why we're here. Why we're here is because we love this game and we want to support the coaches who are working with the future of the industry here and the future of our professional leagues, and filling them with a workforce that has a skill set that knows how to handle adversity, work with a team, and really are rising leaders. And our guests tonight, are modeling that for this generation. And I couldn't be more excited or proud to have this platform available so that the access to this information is free and for everybody to share and participate in, because soccer should represent all of us. And as we work together intentionally to create more representation in and around the game, I'm joined by some really, really wonderful coaches who are doing just that, right? And so, they're awesome. They occupy different regions, different player populations, and because they are unique and bringing their own unique voices, I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves and give us a little window inside of what it's like to work as a woman in coaching in this industry. So with that, I would love to bring up our first guest. And I know, Tracy, just straight stars on the panel. I mean, first, I would love to start with Tiffany, who I know as Tiffany Roberts from 15, 16, 17, and 18 years old, when we both played in Northern California. And Tri-Valley Red, then Blue, then Red, then Pleasanton Rage, and all the stuff. And what a career we've gotten to witness as she went into the national team and just owned her playmaking spot in that 99 squad. And as I continued to work in the game, I always was so relieved when I knew that women who were impact players have gone into coaching to continue making that impact. So I would love to kick us off with Tiffany, and first say hi to her after like 35 years or something, and roll through what she brings to her team, what she's looking for, and ways that she can help impact and empower our next generation and rising coaches who want to break into this scene. So I'm going to, I think I just click on her, right? Do I need to do anything in terms of sharing my
Nope. Tiffany, if you want to go ahead and turn your camera and your microphone on, then we will get you up here on stage. And Courtney, you can keep your cam and your mic on as well. Perfect.
Courtney!
What's up, Tiff?
35 years, what?
Oh my God, how are you?
Oh my gosh, I'm doing great.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. This is so awesome. Tri-Valley.
I mean, Tri-Valley, right?
North South.
So when a soccer sister needs some help, and Brandi loves this format, this forum, she's so good at it. So when somebody needs somebody to step in, it's like, you help a sister out, right?
Yes.
And here we are, and I'm so excited to actually step in, because now I get to some one-on-one time with these really, really brilliant leaders. And please enlighten our audience on how you came to the position that you're in, and impactful things that happened along the way that kept you in coaching.
Yeah, sure. So first, thanks for having me, you guys. And then it's exciting to see everybody joining tonight. Tracy, I think you were one of the guests, right? At some point, and seeing you here supporting everybody after being a guest, that's pretty cool. So I'm looking forward to, continuing to come on and jump on and listen in the future. We could always learn. Yay, I see you. We can always learn from each other. So I'm really on here to learn from everybody else. Hopefully I can, share some information that will, or stories that will touch someone and help. So, but it's pretty interesting. I don't know, everybody's story is so different, but just a little bit of background. Just, you mentioned it, Courtney, just knowing me we'd knowing each other at a young age, 15, 16, and making the national team at such a young age was such a crazy experience for me. It was really eye-opening, I would say. I mean, I could talk forever, so I'm going to try and just give you guys little tidbits. So
that's what this community is all about. That's why we're here. We want to know what you want to talk about.
Yes. I know we've got some awesome guests that I want to hear from too, but I would just say, one little tidbit, just being on the team at such a young age, was that, as a 16-year-old, I was surrounded by some of the most amazing leaders, women in the world, my teammates. So not only did I have great coaches, but I was surrounded by these amazing women that I could just try and copy, really, And so being in a competitive environment, and then being around women that were so strong and so motivated to grow the sport. I really wasn't in one of those leadership positions, obviously, but I had my eyes wide open watching every move. And I think now that I'm a coach, that has helped me so much. I just developed so many of my leadership qualities just being on the national team, watching, Brandi and my older teammates, because I was so young. So I'm like, they're amazing. Okay, let me just watch what they do, and I'm going to try and replicate that. And so being in that environment, just when it comes to obviously the competitiveness and just becoming a better player, that was one facet. But then the other facet was just seeing how you, how you're respecting, the people that support you, or how you take care of one another as a teammate, how our captains were the first ones to go grab a goal. If, our coach said, hey guys, we need some of this equipment, just really leading by just being so service oriented. That's what I learned at such a young age. So just the respect that everyone had for one another. So these are all a lot of qualities that I learned from my own teammates that I try and bring to my team now. And it's almost like teaching them. I sometimes feel like we're going to be a little mini national team, because I know what that's supposed to look like. And if you guys, hear me out and understand these leadership qualities and understand how we're going to take care of each other and put that first, then you guys are very similar to what the national team was about it, when I was there, at least as far as what I know. So, oh, hi.
Passing along that mindset, though, right? Passing on that mindset.
The other little tidbit I would share is just how I had no idea I wanted to be a coach. I was so focused on being a national team player, being a professional, obviously getting my degree at UNC. And then I just wanted to focus on being the best player I can be. and best teammate I could be. I really didn't know what would come next after that. And I actually wanted to get into commentating and broadcasting, and I did it a few times right out of college, and I really didn't enjoy it. And so I didn't know what really was going to fill my cup. So after I was done, after my time with the national team was over, I really had to figure out what I wanted to do. And my husband was a professional soccer player too. We met in college, and all we knew was soccer, really. I mean, like, why are we trying to like change paths when we have turned into experts in this field? And so we started, coaching club soccer, the little ones in San Ramon, California, my own little town. We went back to my town and started coaching, and then out of the blue, Virginia Commonwealth University called and asked about if we would be interested in an opportunity to be co-head coaches at VCU. And that's really how it got going. It literally fell into our lap. I had no idea I wanted to be a college coach, but I will say that once we started coaching collegiately, I realized that this is how I was so satisfied. This is how my cup is going to be filled. Coaching, giving back. This age group was so much more fulfilling for me than the younger age group. That just really wasn't my gig so much. So that's just kind of a little bit of how it got started, and been doing it now collegiately with my husband the whole time for 15 years. And I wouldn't really want to be doing anything else. So, I mean, some days I feel like, what the heck?
Oh my God, though. That's awesome. That's awesome, though, because it's like dinner. You're like, let's talk about the team. Breakfast, you're like, let's talk about the team. Lunch, you're like, let's talk about the team some more. And like, just never getting bored with it. I mean, is that really, that's beautiful.
Yeah, someone told me one time, it's like, oh, you have that work-life balance. And I said, yeah, we really try and do that. I think having children help us with that. And then someone said, it's not work-life balance, it's actually lifestyle. And I said, yeah, you're right. It is our lifestyle. So I've hung on to that ever since someone shared that with me, being in athletics. It's not work-life balance. It's just our lifestyle. And that's what our kids know. And that's really all we know, and we love it. So hopefully we can continue to do well, and so that we can keep doing this forever.
Yeah. And do you see a lot of your current players like leaning into being interested in coaching? Like, how are they recognizing it as a profession now that are you some of their first female coach that they've ever had? Like, tell me how your players are viewing coaching as a career.
As far as like career, I know that they want to stay in the game, forever. So a lot of them do like little coaching right now. A handful of them go to the local club and deal with like the little tots. They have time to do that. It's just a couple times a week. So I know they like to be involved. They love working, our summer soccer camps, like with the kids, and they really, really enjoy it. And I love when they do it because it gives them that coach's perspective. Then they know where I'm coming from sometimes.
Right.
And so as far as career goes, I would say it's still like a pretty small percentage if like the players that actually want to coach, like that's what they want to do when they graduate. I would say a small percentage. I would say, we have 30 players on our team. I would say only like for a career, maybe two or three. Now, I think all of them want to be involved in some aspect.
Right. Coaching's not for everybody, but it's like, if you knew how many ways that you could work in soccer, I think that a lot of them would be drawn to making an impact in the industry, right? Yeah. That's really, really just now starting to recognize, right, the importance of having you stay where you're at so you can impact them in a way where it's now normal to have these options.
Yeah. Right.
And we're on a mission to really help this rising senior class that has been in this witness position of, this thing with Black Lives Matter and our whole COVID experience, turning everything around. So we want to usher in change, and having leaders like yourself who know how to professionally usher that in it's a real privilege to hear you talk about your experience and what you're bringing the passion that you're bringing to your program. And they're all really lucky to have this experience with you. And so thank you for your service. And now, we've got some really kick-ass names on this panel. And so I'm going to segue into our next guest. Okay. And we are going to introduce Kia. Kia, if you could join us, that would be fantastic. Hi, Kia. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks
Kia
for having me.
McNeil, everybody, head coach at Brown, women's soccer coach, and also very good friend with Tracy Ham. And this invisible coaching network that touches each other in all these indirect ways, right? We're so profoundly grateful to have you guys join us tonight, as again, staying in your position has required a skill set that you have had to hone, sharpen, and really make your own too, because it's your team and you want it to be reflective. Kia, tell us your story. Tell us your journey to Brown.
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, thanks for having me. My name's Kia McNeil. I'm the head women's soccer coach at Brown University. Going into my 6th fall here. Unfortunately, we missed the 2020 season due to COVID, but we're happy to be back here in 2021, back competing again. My journey that led me to coaching started, after college. I still had the itch to play. After I finished my senior year in college at Boston College, I still had the itch to play, but there was no professional league here in the U.S. So somebody told me, well, if you want to continue playing, you're going to have to go abroad. And I think they thought that would be a barrier for me, that would deter me from doing it. But I just said, okay, then I'm going to go abroad. And I played over in Sweden for a year. And then at that time, the WPS was starting up. So I came back from Sweden a year later and got drafted 6th in the WPS draft, and was playing for St. Louis at the time. And at that time, the preseason was 6 months long. And so I was kind of thinking, like, what am I going to do in the off season? I knew I wanted to continue playing, continue training. And my former head coach, Allison Foley at Boston College, she called me and said, Kia, do you want to come be a volunteer assistant here at Boston College in your off season? And at the time, I was kind of thinking selfishly, that would be perfect. I can use the weight room. I can jump into training. I can see the game from a different vantage point, like kind of being on the sidelines, helping out with coaching. And obviously it was my alma mater. So I wanted to kind of give back any way that I could. And so it's just interesting because my coaching career, it kind of started off for like selfish motivations for myself in terms of like wanting to play and train.
Right. This is my path back in.
Yeah, exactly. And then I don't think I realized like how much, how invested I'd get in terms of help mentoring women, kind of when kids have that aha moment when they finally understand something. I loved that. I loved after season, getting the notes that you get from the players, from the parents about how you might have helped them through a tough situation. And, ultimately college is some of the most formative years of any young woman or young man's life. And so I think it's really important that they have good role models and good mentors and things like that. So, so for about 6 years, I was doing 6 months of playing professionally. And then I was coming back to Boston College and, helping out in my off season. And then I kind of got to a point in my playing career where, I had played in Europe, I had played in Champions League, I had played in the NWSL championship. I've kind of played through leagues that have survived, and then some leagues had folded. And, I kind of felt like I was at the end of my career as a soccer player. I felt like there wasn't much more that I could really do as a soccer player to give to the game, but I felt like I was just starting my coaching career. So I decided to jump 2 feet into that. And, so I coached 6 years at Boston College, kind of worked my way up as a volunteer to second assistant. Then I went over to Northeastern University for 2 years because I figured if I ever wanted to be a head coach, I need to learn to see how another program kind of runs and see how another head coach does things. I was working for Tracy Leone at the time, who was my former U19 national team coach. So it was nice to be working for somebody that I really respected as a player, and now I was working with her as a colleague as well. So I worked with her for 2 years at Northeastern, and then got the head job here at Brown, and kind of got my feet wet here. And we were the Ivy League champs in 2019. So after 4 years of being here, yeah. So obviously had a great career, great trajectory.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I'll say you checked a lot of boxes there,
Yeah.
from overseas to domestic to the first league to the next league. And I'm curious about, what your perspective on being exposed to different coaches in different countries. Like what was that like? Did you, were you seeing things you liked and that you held on to that you use today? Or were you just like, whoa, this is crazy?
I think one of the biggest things that I took away, especially like playing in Sweden and playing in Europe in general, is just the passion for the game in Europe is unlike anything else. I remember it was like one of my first professional games over in Sweden, and we actually had lost the game 1-0, and I was walking back to the locker room, and I was, when you're walking back to the locker room, you're kind of walking by the crowd and the fans. And this guy, he took off his shirt. He was wearing a jersey of our team. He took off his shirt and threw it on the ground and stepped on it. And and he was so mad that we lost the game. And I was like, whoa, and when we lost, it felt like the whole city, the whole town lost. And when we won, it felt like the whole town won. And so to me, I think going to Europe and going to Scandinavia and playing kind of just changed my perspective of the game, that it's so much more than just a game. It's almost like a livelihood, and it just made me really appreciate the game more. Obviously played with some tremendous players. Even when I'm watching the World Cup now, I'm looking at rosters and I'm like, oh, I played with her, I played against her. It's just fun to see, at the highest level, the game really connects you, all over the world. And I think that's one thing that I'm really appreciative of, is just coming from a small town in Connecticut. I feel like soccer has just been a vehicle to, basically show me the world, allow me to meet some incredible people, and, just really humble myself too. In the places I've been able to go, the people I've been able to meet, the experience I've been able to have. I just don't think that I would have had all that had it not been for soccer kind of opening those doors.
That's awesome, Kia. I love the way you talk about it too. And I think that, you're the players getting this experience from somebody who's had so much experience.
Mm-hmm.
And the rising coaches, get out there and take the job, right? Get your feet wet, get some experience, spend and take the notes. What do you like? What don't you like? What can you take with you? Yeah. And then having this extended, network of people who are working in and around the game to tap into now and connect with as they rise on their journey is really one of our biggest goals. And to have you join us to share those experiences and how they've led you to where you are. And what's something you would say to a coach who's starting out, maybe at a JC level, or wanting to do something in that college, in the college game?
Yeah, I mean, one thing I would say, I don't know, a couple things. I think you have to have confidence. I think a lot of people, a lot of young coaches, whether you're male or female, but I'll say specifically the females, we might be, nervous to jump into it or whatever, but there's nobody better that can teach the game than you, because you lived it, especially if you were a college athlete yourself. There's nothing that my young women are going through on the field that I didn't go through as a player myself. So I think you need to trust in your background, trust in your training, trust in, just your knowledge of the game, and kind of jump 2 feet in. And, I think another thing is that's important is don't forget that you have a support system around you. And a while ago, somebody told me, like, write down who those people are so that in moments when you're saying, oh, I have a question about this, or I'm going, my team is 0-8 right now. Like, what do I do? Like, every coach has experienced that. But I think when you're in those moments, you might feel alone. But if you can look back at kind of like that reference list or that list of people that you would consider in your support system, like, talk to them and talk through it. I think one of the best things you can do is just kind of network and pick people's brains and, kind of be a sponge for information and just learn from the people around you. Because again, it's not the road you're traveling is not something that's unique. I think everybody's had great seasons. Everybody's had poor seasons. Everybody's, gotten a great job. Everybody's lost a great job, so everybody's been through it. And I think that's the most important thing that I would say to a young coach is to, network and, just stay 2 feet into it, stay driven.
Well, Kia, I couldn't have said it better myself. And they deserve a network that is built to support them, right? And to help their journey either get started or be supported along the way. And we couldn't, be more excited for the thought of this, all of your senior classes coming into the network to continue to be a part of the soccer industry and, coach more like Kias, right? Build more Kias, increase the representation of who our leaders are and who our rising players get to be led by, right? And Kia, I'm going to introduce one of our other incredible leaders. And her name is Jen Klein from University of Michigan. And we are really excited to include her in this group of expert coaches who have so far really have a common thread in their approach to their work. If you guys were doing something else, we would be talking about your approach to whatever you're doing. But thank God you're coaching. And so with that, you guys are like celebrities to me, seriously. And so with that, I would really love for Jen to come up and join the conversation. Thank you, Kia. That was the perfect segue into helping people understand that Women in Soccer is a network. And we are trying to build this network for women and our allies from marginalized communities, find jobs in and around the game, and be a part of our community. And so with that, Jen, please tell us your story in Michigan.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's nice to be on. I just like Tiffany, get on and learn from everybody else that's sharing. Definitely a lot of respect to the women on this panel and to the work that you all are doing with this network and community. Yeah, my name is Jen Klein. I'm the head coach at the University of Michigan, starting my 4th season. I think a little bit different as far as my entrance into college coaching is I actually started my process to get into coaching while I was in college. I at the time when I was playing collegiately, there was no women's pro league within the United States. There was semi-pro, which I participated in the summers in between my college seasons. But I basically started taking my coaching license while I was in school. So on the weekends would go up and get things done, and got into coaching basically since I graduated college, which was great. I was a volunteer assistant coach at my school, the University of Arizona, started coaching club. Basically said yes to every coaching job that came my way, whether it was paid, unpaid, didn't matter what age, but just really wanted to work on my craft and find my voice, and just did everything that I could, but got involved in the ODP program and was a coach in training, and met Kat Mertz, who ended up being gave me my first big girl job at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. Was there for a couple of years, and then she went on to a different school, and I was hired at UNLV as a head coach, and at the time was the youngest Division I head coach in the country. And so that was quite an experience, you know, I think I was 25 when I got hired. I was basically 26 doing the job, and a real big experience. I think I felt confident in the X's and O's, but learned a lot in those first year about managing people and, you know, dealing with more than just your players. You're dealing with administrators and alumni and just different constituents. But knew that I wanted to actually almost got out of coaching, and then had a very good mentor that said, you know, I don't think you're really ready to be done with it. Got a call from Kadani McAlpine, which I know a lot of people in this community know him as he's, you know, one of the allies and members of this community. But he called me, asked if I wanted to come up to Washington State with him. You know, thought it'd be a great opportunity. Felt like we knew each other for many, many years. Got up there, had a great couple of years with him there, followed him to USC, was there for 4 years, was part of an unbelievable staff and program that won a national championship in 2016. And then got an opportunity to come coach at the University of Michigan. So starting my 4th year here, and very happy with it, and have learned a lot in every place that I've been to help me create what Michigan is today, and basically what kind of who I am as a coach today.
That's awesome. And so when you're working with Kadani in Washington, right? Like, what are the things that you're learning from him that inspire you to, yes, I want to go to USC too, and I want to continue to be on your team, so to speak. What things were you taking from him?
Yeah, I think a couple of the biggest things that I learned in being a part of his staff was his ability to create an environment that was all collaborative. You know, yes, he was the head coach. Yes, he created the vision, but he really did a fantastic job of empowering not only his direct staff, but every support staff member into making you feel like you are contributing and you're being impactful in the product that's being played on the field. And so when you're empowered with that and you're inspired with that, and you're just feeling like, oh my goodness, like, look what we are creating, you wanted to continue to be a part of it. And just was very excited for the opportunity to go to a very great institution as USC. And we really felt like we could do something great there. And so, happy to do that. And the other thing that I learned a lot from Kadani was his ability to just manage everybody that touched our program, from administrators to alumni to donors, support staff. And so that was a big learning experience and mentoring opportunity for me, being able to work with him.
I don't know if we lost Courtney for a second there, but I will jump right in. Jen, thank you so much. The significance of allies goes unnoticed. And in the spirit of that, Erin, we are excited to get you on the stage as well. But just in the spirit, while we are also getting Courtney back up on the stage, I think we have Kadani in the house. So Coach K, if you want to jump up and say a quick hello, we'd love to see you. We know the network would love to get to hear a word from you. How are you?
Good. What's up, family? What's up, Jen? How are you?
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining in. Go ahead, Jen.
I said, hey, Kadani.
I like your little office. Nice.
Thank you. The home office.
Yes.
How are you, Kadani? Last time we were chatting with the community, we were talking about the power of resilience through a wild pandemic season, which I'm sure everyone on this can speak to. But how is the season treating you so far, as it feels maybe a little bit more normal?
It's good. I think we're a little less normal than a large part of our country, but we're still trudging through, and we're getting some opportunities for our women to do the most important part, and that's be together, be real teammates, interact, and the spring was very, very difficult in that regard for us out here, and you know, it was nice to have fans again and go to places with fans, and it's nice to. It's odd when you're sitting at a dinner on the road and you're sitting there and you actually have to take notice that you're actually at a meal together, for the first time in a long time. But we all kind of said a little thanks for the fact that we could just sit down and break bread. Like it was nice, and so things are good. See, it's nice to be in season. It's nice to be playing games. It's nice to be back in it, and it's exciting. It's fun.
Absolutely. Yeah, you never thought that having a meal would just feel that feel that exciting or feel that uh new, refreshing.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's been awesome, and to see the smiles return to their faces has been a big joy as well.
Oh, we love to hear it. Well, Jen and Kadani, we are so happy and so excited that you both could be here. Don't go too far, but we do want to welcome Erin Chastain up on the stage, joining us from University of Minnesota. Erin, we would love to have you turn your camera and your microphone on and give
Hi.
us, hey, give us your feedback and give us your story. I'm going to work on fixing my camera so that way we can look like we're having a chat. But otherwise, please tell us your journey to getting to
Yeah,
the
I
University of
think
Minnesota.
like Tiff probably, I didn't know that I wanted to coach in college, and I was really fortunate. I was kind of in between jobs, and I had the opportunity to work Northwestern University's women's soccer camp at the age of 21, and Marcia McDermott at the time was the leader of that program. And as soon as I saw her run one session, I think I was like, wow, that is what I want to do. I want to be her. So, and if anyone on here has seen Marcia coach or knows Marcia, I think they will understand, what a wonderful human being and coach she is and how inspiring she is. So I left that camp, and she just happened to call a week later and said, we have a second assistant position and it's $6,000 a year and no benefits. And I said, sign me up. So I was really fortunate to work with her for several years. And then I think one of the tidbits of advice I'd have for this group is just to be brave when you go after opportunities, because Marcia then actually, I think maybe went to Coach Tiff for the North Carolina Courage, or I don't know if I'm right with that, Tiff, but I think I am. And so Marcia left, and a new head coach was hired, but a job opportunity at Santa Clara University working for Jerry Smith came up, and I didn't know Jerry at all. But I just thought, wow, that would be an amazing learning opportunity for me as a young coach to work under someone who had just won a national championship and who was really well respected, and I knew had a wonderful soccer IQ and could teach the game. And that was an area I felt like I needed growth in. So I threw my name in. I really think Marcia got me that job, but I ended up getting hired there at Santa Clara and worked there for 5 years under Jerry. And my learning curve was vertical. It was awesome. Being surrounded by national team women, coaching them, and being able to learn from Jerry, who's just a great tactical mind. So I think I felt really good about my learning there. And then I had the opportunity to take the head coaching job at DePaul University in the Big East, and I was there for 14 years. And then this is my first season at Minnesota, which is my alma mater and kind of my dream job. So I think really fortunate that I've been able to work under Marcia and Jerry and just kind of be a sponge, like Kia said, with information and kind of just add to your resume along the way. So certainly feel fortunate, and now am in a position where I'm a leader of a program and a leader of young women, and I feel like it's my responsibility to give other young women the opportunity I was given as a very inexperienced coach with Marcia. And so I feel like I've been able to do that to a lot of women on my staff as I've assembled assistant coaches, and now have a great group of women that are on my staff. And so my other piece of advice for anyone as a leader of a program is to make sure you give back and give give especially women and minorities opportunities to get into the game and to be leaders and to be faces for women's soccer or women in sport. And I think that's something I'm really committed to, because that was given to me in my path and my journey. So certainly learning a lot from the kind of powerful women that are on this panel, and have respected Kidani and what he's been able to do at the various stops he's been at along the way. So just have a wonderful group and network of college coaches, and even Tracy, who I know is on here. I don't know Tracy at all, but when I was looking to hire an assistant, I've always read about Tracy and some of the things she's done. And so I dropped her an email like, hey, do you have any names for me? And so again, I think it's just being willing to extend yourself and help others as they're trying to network and build their careers.
It's the power of this network. Courtney said it earlier, right? That invisible network that keeps you all tied together. Marcia pulled you through the influence that you get from every single person that you meet along the way. It's really inspiring. As a human that's coached youth in a very, very short capacity in my life, I am really impressed by all of the capacities that every single one of you have, and the testament to each of the hard work you put in to trailblaze in a space that hasn't always welcomed you or hasn't always seen you first, and then to go above and beyond and pay it forward to for the next generation. So Erin, it's an honor to have you here. Thank you so much for sharing a little bit of that. I want to welcome all of our coaches back up on screen. So please turn your camera on, turn your mic on. Tiffany, Jan, yes, Kia, perfect. Beautiful. Awesome. Thank you so much. I will round us out while Courtney sorts through her camera and then gives her kids some wonderful love and goes to bed. So please, we could talk, like we all know, for days on end about the various things in the game that need to be elevated or things that are going right. There are a few questions I would love to get you all and your feedback on. One being, in your opinion, we're not going to solve we're not going to find the exact answer here maybe today, and anyone on the chat, please feel free to share your ideas, but how do we get more college soccer on TV? Who makes the decisions and how can we reach them, right? Part of this network is we have more power in numbers, and we want to be able to help support this game in one particular way, in many ways, but in that one facet, it's something we're really passionate about. So I'm happy for it to go to anyone. I can point it to Kia first if you want to jump in, Kia, but if someone else is really passionate or has something they wanted to jump in, don't hesitate to jump in first.
Yeah, I don't know that I have a ton to offer on this subject. I do see it as definitely an issue. Even for us recently with Brown, we were supposed to be on one network, and they tried to bump us off that network so that they could put, I don't know, maybe a football game or something like that. So I do see it as a constant issue in the sense of even when we are getting an opportunity for the airtime, they're looking for ways to kind of, bump you out of it. But I would be curious what, some of the other women on the panel think about that too.
I think hopefully, our U.S. national team, women's national team, has definitely, I think, sparked a lot of really good discussion. And as they continue to go through their process with their, bargaining and everything like that, I think it's going to help trickle down and have an impact at all different levels. But I think we just need to continue to be advocates, put out good products, and show that it's worth supporting, it's worth televising, and there is going to be a return on their investment. I think anytime that we're able to put our games out there, whether it's live stream on the network, and you give people the opportunity to view our young women in our sport playing at an unbelievable level, I think that's great. And I think we just need to show up in numbers and watch, as challenging as times it is maybe to get access to it, because you got to have another thing that you pay for. If we can show that people are watching it and there is a market and support for it, I think we can continue to push the envelope and and force their hands, because if they see that there's a return, they're going to have no choice but to do it.
Also, I thought was interesting is that there was a young girl, mutual friend, a friend of hers, their daughter. She reached out to me. She wanted to interview me because she was so upset that there wasn't enough women's sport on TV. And she was this young athlete who was aspiring to be a professional and play, sport in college. And she couldn't find it anywhere. And it's so important that these young ladies, these young girls have these role models to look up to and be able to see and be able to say, like, I can do that. Especially, we're talking about diversity and saying women from, that are diverse and come from different backgrounds. Like, it's so important for them to be able to see it. So just for our youth, I know for me, just personally, it kind of ties into this, but I remember the first time I watched the Olympics was when I was in second grade, and I fell in love with Mary Lou Retton. I mean, there was not soccer, obviously women's soccer in the Olympics when I was in second grade, but I fell in love with Mary Lou Retton, and I fell in love with Jackie Joyner-Kersee. And I was like, I want to go to the Olympics, and I want to be just like FloJo. I want to be just like Mary Lou Retton. Like, I'm going to do that. And just being able to have that visual and that inspiration, like, that drives you. And the fact that our young girls don't have that on a daily basis and are only getting to see men really on TV, it's not okay. So I don't know what the answer is and how we change it, guys, but it's definitely something that I feel strongly about and passionate about.
Thank you so much. It really does go a long way to hear ideas, to understand the passion behind it, to know that it still is an ongoing issue, that it's not just, hearsay or, something that's being fabricated. So whatever we can do, we are happy to push it. And we are excited to help try to get this game seen more often. Oh, more ideas are coming in. I like this. I love seeing the chat when people start to share their ideas. So yes, Lonnie Silverside, that's some thoughts there around getting people in front of the screen. So thank you for that. And Kadani, we need more women in soccer inside the networks to fight from the inside. Yeah, absolutely. So thinking about, fighting from the inside, thinking about the next generation, I know we'll wrap up in about 5 minutes, but I want to give each of you the opportunity to tell us something you might want, if there's something you want to see improved upon outside of maybe just being televised, or if there's something you want to say to the next generation, tell us one of those two things. And then also we want to get your predictions on who you think is going to be the champs in the NCAA this year. I know that's kind of fun with all of you on this call together. So let's start with you, Erin. If there's something you want to, you want to highlight, put at the top of the list that needs some supporting, let's do that. Or if there's something you want to say to the next generation, and then let's hear your prediction. And like always, this is interactive. Everyone in the chat, don't hesitate to put in your predictions as well.
I mean, I think to the next generation, I would just say, and I think Kia kind of hit on this initially, like you have to be willing to put in time if it's really that important to you. And if it's what you've decided you want to do, whether that's coaching youth or coaching college or owning a professional sports team or being a scout, whatever that is. I think sometimes with this generation, the younger generation, there's this immediate gratification where, I want to be a head coach right away. But what I always believe is you have to put in your work. So when you do get to that moment, you are as prepared as possible for that role, and you can really take advantage of that opportunity you've been given. So I think for me, that's a big piece of advice, along with, you can be a mom and run a company or run a program. And I think I've been so inspired by other moms that are coaching collegiately, and that we can balance it, and that our teammates see our kids and they feel like they're part of the family, and how much value that can add to a program. So I think we've lost along the way some wonderful females that maybe didn't know they could balance it or didn't know it was possible. So the more we can talk about that it is possible, I think the more women we can keep in the game, which will inspire that younger generation.
Amazing. Erin, you can pick someone to kick it to next. Oh, and your prediction, if you have a prediction.
Prediction? That's hard. I don't know. I mean, I feel like there's people on this call that have that as their goal, so I don't want to offend anyone, but I don't know. I think there's some really good teams right now. I think you saw Duke upset North Carolina. Sorry, Tiff.
No, I was going to predict Duke too, and I felt so bad saying it.
It might be their year. I don't know. I mean, Florida State's always good. So I don't know. I think Penn State is off to a great start. So I think there's there's a good group of probably 8 to 10 that I think have a good shot.
Thanks, Erin. Jen, do you want to jump in next?
Yeah. So I guess some advice just to everybody is I'm going to build off of Erin's just as far as dedicating time. Mia Hamm has a quote about she's building a fire, and every day that she trains, she's adding fuel to it, and then one day she's going to light a match. And I think whether it's your coaching or you're doing something else within the sport of soccer, I just think, how big do you want your flame to be? And if you build your fire and add more fuel to it, then eventually that your flame can be massive, and it's not just a lighter, but maybe a huge bonfire. And I think if we really want to build something sustainable within women's soccer, dedicate time, build your craft, take advantage of all the great resources that this group has, but also just a network of people, so that way we can really have a big fire that just kind of engulfs everything. And it's all about women in sport and women in soccer in particular. But I would just say, if you're interested in coaching, you don't have to just coach at the highest level. There is something to be said about coaching a small team, a young team, a B team, a C team. Learn your craft, learn your voice, make people better. It's not just about making, good to great, but make average to good and help them start their journey, because every level needs a coach, and there's not a bad position out there. It all has meaning, and it's all making an impact. As far as the prediction, this is a tough year. I mean, I think there's a lot of really great teams out there right now. I think everyone's starting conference play. Yesterday was the first official release of the RPI, and it's starting to kind of shake itself out. But I think if you look at anything, from years past, you always have that sleeper team that gets hot when they need to get hot, and they make an unbelievable run, and there's upset. So I think our sport in that way it's now hard to pick who's your winner going to be, because there's so many great programs. So I think that's what makes collegiate women's soccer an unbelievable fan experience, because on any given day, it could be somebody's chance. So it should be really good.
Jen, yes, and that's another testament to why it needs to be on TV, so people can watch it and celebrate it. Brandi, welcome. It is so great to see you and have you here. Please, you're welcome to stay and jump in at any time. This is your corner, and then we can hear from Kia and Tiffany on their
Let's let Kia and I've been enjoying listening here for the last few minutes.
Sure, Kia. Why don't you, if there's something on the top of the list of priorities, and then also maybe for the next generation.
Yeah, I think, for me, I think I'm one of 3 or one of 4 Black head coaches, Black women head coaches in the women's game right now, out of, 338 Division I teams. So for me, it's almost a personal thing where I'd love to see obviously more women, but more women of color, getting into the profession. And so I make that something that I try to actively instill in my program, like trying to encourage players to, get into coaching, or to help me with prospect clinics, or help me with youth clinics. And, like Jen said, it's not even necessarily to coach at the collegiate level necessarily, but even if they're coaching a club team, or, I had a player recently that just told me, wow, I didn't even know that I loved coaching this much. And I feel like I kind of had the same path, where I really didn't know that coaching was something that I wanted to do, but it came down to somebody giving me an opportunity. And I think sometimes it's not just about the players who are in your face saying, hey, do you have a grad assistant position? Do you have this? Do you have this volunteer position? It's about giving people an opportunity who maybe aren't knocking down your door, because it wasn't for me. I wasn't knocking down Allison Foley's door saying, hey, can you let me be a volunteer? She just called me, and she knew I had a lot of potential to help out in that realm for the team. And, I feel very thankful to have had that opportunity, because it, really allowed me to blossom as a coach and just see the game from a different perspective. So I think when we're all sitting here as coaches, what can we do to continue to remove the barriers for entry for people? How can, even little things like when you're bringing coaches in, a lot of time it's on their own dime. Well, sometimes that's a barrier of entry right there. So just trying to think how we can continue to negate barriers of entries for people to get involved in the game, and also just extending a hand to, lift people up to join you in the game, whether it's with your program or to, give them a reference to work somewhere else or to work camps or work clinics. Just get more people involved with the game. And I think that's going to help bump the numbers both for women and for, minorities in the game. So that would be my charge to everyone here.
Awesome.
Absolutely. It's part of the reason why we want to give a space where people know you can come in and you can find folks in this space that are passionate about this game. It's not the first place you might look in terms of your hiring and in all facets, but it definitely ties right into the game. Kia, thank you so much. I realize this is a little bit pressure heavy question, asking who's going to win.
I told you.
You did. So if you want to pass, I will let you put a pass on it and hand it to Tiffany.
It's too early. I gotta see some conference play first.
I didn't get to pass.
I know, Erin.
That's because
you were
I hate to
first.
say this, Erin. You're the second oldest on the panel. That's why.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah, I know.
man.
Well,
you got
no, that's not, Brandi, that's not true. That's not why. We were feeling it out, and Erin, you happened to go first. But Tiffany, please, we'd love to hear from your top perspective here, maybe top of the priority list. And maybe you have to tell us who you think. I don't know. No, please go ahead.
Well, I'll piggyback off a couple of things that have been mentioned, but Erin, I love when you talked about just having other role models and having, other moms doing this job too, because I know when I was getting into it, I was like, gosh, am I going to be able to do this and be a mom and have children? And my husband and I started at VCU and we hadn't had kids yet. Well, we happened to have played Navy. Was one of my very first games as a head coach, co-head coach. We played Navy. Well, the head coach at Navy is Karen Gabera. He's a former teammate of mine, and she has 3 children. And the first thing I did, it was like late August, maybe early September, and I was like, Karen, like, tell me really quick, before this game gets started, like, can I start having kids? Like, can I have kids and do this job? So we were literally in our first year of coaching ever, and she's like, get on it, TR. She was doing the math for me and saying it'd be better to have kids, during this time than this time during season. She was doing the math for me. She's like, you need to get on it. And no joke, like Tim and I gave birth to a kid that May, to Layla. We got on it quick. But if it wasn't for Karen kind of giving me that push and saying, no, you can do this job, and then being able to see her do it so well with 3 kids, and her husband was a coach too, or is a coach as well, and doing it at a high level, it's just awesome seeing that. So I think if we can continue to be role models for, the next generation coming up as coaches, the better. It's just great to have that. For the young, the other thing too, just going off of Kia, was just the diversity and just having women in sport, women coaching and being head coaches. Like when I walk around and we're recruiting guys, I see a ton of white guys hanging on the sideline, recruiting, and there's a lot of young female assistants. And what I guess I'm not seeing is that matriculation from a lot of young female assistants to now becoming head coaches. So that is something that I've noticed, and I don't know what the answer to it is, but it is something that we have to be advocates for, young women. So we have like a great generation of like legends, female coaches that have been in the game for a long time that, you know, because of Title IX, getting those opportunities. And then I'd say like, we're kind of that next batch of women that are head coaches, but there's also like this whole younger generation than us that are all assistants, but I don't really quite see that matriculation yet. And maybe it's just in time, but it's something that I've noticed. You know, I think that there is a bias. I do. I think that there's a bias, unconscious bias maybe in collegiate sports, and you know, athletic directors are making, you know, decisions, and a lot of them are guys, and their networks are guys, and they know guy coaches. And so I think it's kind of this negative cycle. So we've got to be able to break that. I think it's being recognized more, and it's I think there are more athletic directors out there that are understanding of that, but I don't think it's where it needs to be yet. So whether it's women or diversity or having more, you know, women of color in the positions. For the next generation, I would just say, you know, be brave. And it's okay to be the first doing something. You know, thankfully there's a lot of trailblazers, and definitely I was not the first in anything, but like I keep going back to these role models, but just because for me personally, it helps me be brave seeing other women doing those things. So whether it was Karen Cabrera or watching, you know, Brandi lead, you know, in our women's national team, you know, at training every day or in big games and stepping up. But just having that confidence, because I think women in general, I don't know, it's like I question myself a lot, you know, and I need like my people around me to give me like love sometimes, be like, no, T, you got this, you got this. And so I think just getting that confidence and being brave, and yeah, doing all the work, like you all mentioned, just about getting that confidence and putting in the work. But I think if you put in the work, you'll have that confidence. But I think we just, you know, just stepping out of your comfort zone and getting after it. And obviously we all know, even if you fail, it's okay. And we'll bounce back from it and learn from it. So, so I guess that next generation is just like step out, be brave, get uncomfortable, be the first. You could be the first, it's okay. And then in the end, you'll know how many people are actually there in your corner when you do that. So predictions, I'm just going to go on the fence. Everyone's on the fence right now. I mean, Erin, Jen and Kia. I don't like saying this, but like Duke's like on fire right now. So I know a lot can happen, but I'm just saying right now at this point, Duke's kind of, you know, stepping out right now.
That's awesome. Tiffany, thank you so much. Brandi, I'll hand it to you, and you can close us out.
Well, I'm so grateful for all of you who are on the panel for being here. I know your time is very precious, especially during this time of the season. But I also know that you understand how important it is to be the advocates and the allies for those who maybe don't have a platform such as the one that you do. I think I would ask a question to you. You don't all have to answer. And this is for everybody who's listening as well, because you may be the director of a club, or you might be a head coach. No, I think we should encourage our female players to engage in education, soccer coaching education, and we give that to them as a gift. Like, we shouldn't say, hey, anybody want to learn about how to be a coach? It'll cost you $250 or it'll cost you $1,000. Forget it. You know, as clubs, I think it's our responsibility to continue to encourage these young women to stay in the game. So do you think that that's something at the collegiate level we can do? Or is it just too impacted with school soccer? There's just too many demands? Or what's a creative way maybe we could engage them in the coaching capacity, such as coaching courses?
I think, Brandi, if they kind of at times right now, they're just showing up as players, right? They just show up. I do my job as a player. I participate in the practice. I participate in the game. And then I go home. I do my recovery. I do my schoolwork. But I think if they, you know, paid a bit more attention to, you know, oh, there's a structure to practice, or maybe if we share, like, I think sometimes maybe this, I'll give a story. We just hired a director of operations that was a former soccer player at Michigan. And her aha moment was like, oh my goodness, I didn't realize this is all that you did. There's just so much more, right? You, as a player, you just show up, you go through the activities, you go home and you're done. You don't think beyond like all the stuff that goes into it. So if we kind of created and built it into what we do every day, just as far as like, hey, this is the process, this is how we get to this. It's not just roll the ball out and go. I think you can teach them how you can teach them about coaching while they're being a player without having any additional cost or anything like that. I saw Tracy Ham just put in the winter and spring, and I think that that's a great way to take advantage, because in the college setting, right, we're still tied to a university, and part of our charge is higher education. And you know, they're a student first and an athlete, so you could almost build it into what you do.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And I did see Tracy's comment. You know, I think also there's just putting the question out there: who is interested in being a coach? Who wants to learn about what it's like to be a coach? You know, we may be surprised by the amount of players that raise their hand. Last thing I would say to Tiffany's point about, you know, we don't see the people making the decisions that look like all of us, right? So whether that's at the athletic department, we're very fortunate at Santa Clara where we have a female that's leading the way, and we just opened up a beautiful building today on our athlete excellence center, and there was a lot of people that worked on it, but she was the lead. And so I think when you have strong women in roles, that really does propagate more women doing great things. So I think it's also talking about athletic directors, you know, their expertise is probably not in soccer. So, you know, maybe we can help by, I don't know if it's educating athletic departments, I don't, you know, because they know these traditional sports, right? And I think that our athletic directors are getting a little bit more in tune with soccer, because it's very prevalent. So I'm very hopeful for the future, Tiffany, in terms of it looking differently than it might look right now. Like you said, on the sideline, it could look a little bit different. So I'm hopeful for that. To everybody, again, thank you so much for being here. Jen, as always, you bring sunshine to my day. Tiffany was my locker room buddy because our numbers were right next to each other. So whether it was us dancing next to each other, whether it was getting serious, it was encouraging each other. You're always going to be my teammate. Kia, thank you so much for allowing me to persist and leave you message after message. And I know you were very busy and you had a circumstance that was, you know, you had to do double duty, and you showed up, and I really appreciate that. And hopefully we can help you and your program in any way possible. And to my sister-in-law, of course, Erin, congratulations on your new position at University of Minnesota. Your alumni, your former team. God, that was hard to say. Sorry. And I'm sure that they are loving you there. And I'm sure that it's, you know, it's probably scary to go back to where you came from, you know, because you want to do a good job, but I'm sure that that's going to happen. So I wish you all the best in your seasons. And again, I think, you know, this whole, and to Kadani, thank you very much also for being an ally to women in soccer, the platform, and just women on the ground in your location and everywhere else. But I am, as for this next playoffs, which is going to be here faster than we can really imagine, I am so excited to see so many teams. I've been watching all the networks. I'm recording all these college soccer games, and I'm seeing a lot of great play and a lot of great moments. And I think there's going to be a lot of teams who are going to really battle for this championship this year, which I'm very excited that it's coming to Santa Clara, so I can see the best of the best in the Final Four. So I'm going to invite all of you. Maybe we can do a live Brandi's Corner. Sorry, Rach and Maria, putting some work on your plate. We can do a live Brandi's Corner from the Collegiate Cup, right? Let's do that. That would be so fun. Last but not least, I want you all to know that there's a game called Tech Ball. If you haven't seen it, check it out. TEQBALL. And it is the U.S. qualifiers for the World Championship are this weekend in Los Angeles. So if you are in Los Angeles area, check it out. It's so fun. I have a table and it's a blast. It's not just a college drinking game, you know? So it's a lot of fun with a lot of skill. Now, an idea we were batting around for the next Brandi's Corner is to have former national championship coaches on the panel and talking about what was it like to go march through a season and into the playoffs, and what are the most important details, and give us some behind the scenes to championship seasons. So I think that's my goal. I conned my husband into saying yes already. And so hopefully we'll get a few more. Jen, you might have to come back and join us for that, because you've experienced that yourself. And I hope the rest of you experience that too with your teams at some point. Again, I'm always humbled by your presence and by everybody who comes to share in Brandi's Corner, where they are, who they are, what they hope for the game. And I just want to leave it in a better place than it was before I got here. So to all of you, much love and appreciation.
Thanks, Bran.
Thank you.
Thanks, B.
Awesome. You're the best.